You wake up in a world that feels completely familiar. Cities stretch across the horizon. Supermarkets overflow with food. Millions of people begin another ordinary morning. But none of it was guaranteed to exist. Around 12,000 years ago, a small change altered the course of human history forever. Your ancestors stopped wandering and began farming. But what if they never had? For nearly all of human history, people lived as hunter-gatherers. They followed migrating animals, gathered wild plants, and adapted to changing seasons. Archaeological evidence suggests these groups often worked fewer hours than many modern workers and ate surprisingly varied diets. Without agriculture, villages would remain rare. Permanent cities would never rise. Massive kingdoms, empires, and bureaucracies would struggle to form because dense populations depend on reliable food surpluses. Researchers such as Jared Diamond argued that agriculture transformed society by making food production predictable, while also creating new inequalities. Other scholars, including David Graeber and David Wengrow, have challenged the idea that farming was a simple step toward progress, pointing to evidence that early societies experimented with many different ways of living. Without farms, your ancestors would likely know hundreds of plants, animal behaviors, weather patterns, and migration routes. Knowledge of nature would become the world's greatest technology. Science suggests that agriculture allowed human populations to explode. Instead of millions, the modern world now supports billions because crops can feed far more people from the same land than hunting and gathering alone. But that growth came with costs. Farming encouraged property, social classes, taxation, warfare over fertile land, epidemic diseases from living closely with domesticated animals, and environmental transformation. Without agriculture, pandemics as we know them might be much rarer. Diseases like smallpox and measles evolved after humans lived in dense settlements alongside domesticated animals. Smaller mobile groups would make widespread outbreaks difficult. Would technology disappear? Not necessarily. Humans are naturally inventive. Stone tools became increasingly sophisticated long before farming. Boats, fishing equipment, weaving, and artistic expression flourished among many hunter-gatherer societies. However, technologies requiring massive specialization, steel industries, skyscrapers, satellites, computers, and global supply chains, would likely never emerge without large permanent populations supporting specialized workers. Your daily routine would look completely different. Instead of checking emails, you might track animal footprints. Instead of scrolling social media, you would remember stories passed through generations around evening fires. Instead of calendars filled with meetings, your schedule would follow the movement of seasons. Modern psychology may also look different. Competition for status could still exist, but wealth measured by vast property and accumulated possessions would be far less important. Reputation, cooperation, and survival skills would matter more. Anthropologists studying contemporary hunter-gatherer communities, while recognizing they are not perfect windows into the past, have documented remarkable cooperation and food sharing that helped groups survive uncertain environments. Perhaps the biggest surprise is that agriculture was never inevitable. Different human societies adopted farming at different times, and some resisted it for thousands of years. History could easily have taken another path. If agriculture had never appeared, there would be no megacities, no global internet, no stock markets, no universities, and perhaps no video for you to watch today. Yet humans would still laugh, love, create art, tell stories, solve problems, and adapt, just as they always have. The next time you walk through a grocery store, remember that every shelf, every city, and every nation traces back to one extraordinary decision made by people who never imagined the world it would eventually create. That ordinary morning you woke up in, it exists because agriculture changed everything.